Hi everyone, welcome back. In this lesson, I'm going to show you how our table functions filter, all, and values work within a DAX formula. So let's quickly get to it. Let's start with a metrics table. Metrics table, this is a metrics table here. We are going to show number of customers. So we have 59,000 of them. Okay, number of customers. Let's increase this text a bit, so size. So we go to text size. Let's increase this a bit. It has 15. So, yes. So we want to see our number of customers by segmentation. So bronze, gold. So just to break down by segmentation. Now, so this is the count of customers. How did I arrive at this count of customers? Distinct count of my customer ID. This is here. Distinct count of customer ID will give me my count of customers. So, in what other way can I get this? Using values, I will arrive at the same result. Values takes every record on the table and still introduce that filter context. So let's try it. New measure. So I can say NO number of customers 2. That will be equal to, so I'll use this measure, count rows. So what table do I want to count the rows? To bring in my table, I use values. Then my table name is customer table. Customer, then customer ID. Enter. So let me put this separator. Let me bring this measure right here. You can see it's the same thing. The same thing as just what distinct count of customers, customer ID will give to me. It still introduce the filter context. What if I add all to this? So instead of values, let me copy this same measure, new measure. So I call this number of customer all. Call this all. So instead of values here, I take these values out and replace with all. Enter. So let's see what that will give us. See, all gives us the total number right here. So that is what all is giving to us. The same number. So it takes out everything that has to do with the filter context. All takes it out. So there's no filter context related to all. So there's also a formula. Let's just treat everything at once that we call all selected. So all selected limits to what you select. So let's see how it works. New measure. So instead of all here, I say all selected. Right? All selected. Okay, I have to rename this. Selected. All selected. Okay. So I bring that number right here So it's still returning everything until I actually select something. So let me bring in a slicer. Let's bring this down a bit and bring in a slicer in here. So this is a slicer here. So let's see how all selected works. So customer, let me bring my supervisor something. Salesperson name, state supervisor. Bring that supervisor right there. So let me make this a drop down. So this is when nothing is selected. This all selected returns the same thing as selected. But if I click on a supervisor, for example, right? If I click on a supervisor, this is supposed to change. It's supposed to change. All selected. Does it work? Did I limit? Okay. This all selected. Let me check that measure again. All selected. Oh, I'm not supposed to count. Just supposed to count the customer table. Yeah, it works. So I'm not supposed to introduce the ID. I was just supposed to count the whole rows on the customer table, right? So whenever I select, so all selected changes, but the all remains the same. So what all selected is returning, for example, this particular supervisor is returning the total of the supervisor, like you can see it here. So this number of customers, this is the total number of customers under the supervisor. It's returning that total. So this is particularly useful. So if you want to know the contribution of one particular supervisor across these segments to his total number and the contribution across this segment to the total organization. So that's just what this helps us to do. Let's just do the ratios and conclude this particular lesson. So yeah, new measure. Let's do ratio 1, 1. So this will be against all. That is be equals to divide. So I call up my measure by using a square bracket. So I'm dividing. So either I divide number of customers of number of customers 2. It works the same way. So let me go for number of customers. Numerator 2. This is all. Number of customer all. So I call up my measure with a square bracket. So number of customers all. So this gives me the total of this person against the whole organization. So this is percentage. It's 1 decimal place. Place this on my table. So you can see. So the contribution of bronze is 7.8% to total organization, the total customers in the organization. That this bronze contributed by this supervisor. So if you want to see the total contribution of bronze, we just need to take this out. It's 79.6%. Then contributed by a particular supervisor like this is 7.8%. If I select this, so it's 8. This guy contributes 8% to the total customers in bronze. So if we want to see, let me go to that measure again. what it will return if we use it against all selected, new measure. So all selected this is second ratio versus all selected, all selected is the denominator. So make this one decimal place and I bring this right here. So let's see the feedback. So this gives us what the number is over the total for this particular supervisor. And this gives us what the ratio is over the total of the whole organization. Like you can see, his total contribution of the total number of customers to the total organization is 9.9%, but for himself it's 100%, of course. So when we take this filter out, so let's see how it behaves. So they behave the same way. All are not selected behave the same way if we take all filters out. But if we introduce a filter context, it behaves differently. So what if we choose to show another filter? Let's say age band, for instance. Will this ratio change? So for this particular supervisor, let's put a particular age to it, adult number 3. You can see it changes. Yeah. So you can see. So the filter context works. So this is, in this video, we've looked at all selected, values, and distinct counts just within a measure. So the other thing, to close this, the other thing we are going to look at is to even use filter. Maybe we will do that when let's leave filter for now. We will use filter more when we use calculate. So that will be all for this lesson. See you in the next lesson.